Let's be real for a second. For a lot of us, when we hear the word learning, our minds jump to things like pressure, homework, maybe even a little bit of tension. But what if we could flip that script entirely? What if learning could feel joyful, creative, as natural as, well, playing a game? That's exactly what we're going to dive into today. How to turn education from something you have to do into an adventure you want to be on. Just look at the contrast here. On one hand, you have the old school model, stress, boredom, feeling like it's a punishment. But on the other hand, there's a totally different world, one that's all about joy, creativity, and learning things naturally. And listen, this isn't just some nice idea. It's the proven, incredible power of learning through play. So that brings us to the big question, right? Why does school so often feel like a punishment? I mean, from a pretty young age, the whole idea of learning gets all tangled up with tension and this fear of getting things wrong. But it absolutely 100% does not have to be that way. Now, think about what happens when a kid is just playing. All that tension, it's gone. When our brains aren't worried about failing, they get into this amazing state of relaxed alertness, which is like the perfect zone for learning. And in that state of freedom, that's when the real magic happens. Creativity sparks and natural problem-solving skills just come bubbling to the surface. See, play isn't a distraction from learning. It's actually the ideal condition for it to happen. Okay, so let's get into the good stuff, the benefits, because this is about so much more than just having a bit of fun. We are talking about fundamental development here, the kind of stuff that shapes a child's entire future. I like to think of a child's development as a growing tree, and it's supported by these four huge branches. And play strengthens every single one of them. Cognitively, it sharpens their thinking and problem solving. Socially, it's all about teamwork and learning to communicate. Emotionally, it builds up their confidence and self-control. And of course, physically, it improves motor skills. It's basically a complete workout for the entire developing person. This quote just nails the emotional benefit of play. I mean, think about any game. There are wins, there are losses. There are moments you get frustrated and moments you feel on top of the world. Play gives kids a safe space to fail, to figure out how to handle those feelings, and then build up the resilience to get back up and try again. Now that is a life skill you just can't teach from a textbook. Okay, so here's the thing. Not all play is created equal. To really get the most out of it, it helps to understand the different forms it can take. So let's look at a pretty simple way to break it down. First up, you've got free play. This is totally child-led. It's pure imagination, no set rules, and it's where creativity just explodes. Next, there's guided play. This is where a teacher or a parent might step in to provide a little structure, some rules to help steer the learning toward a certain goal. And finally, you have educational games, which are designed from the ground up with a very specific learning target, like practicing math or learning new words. Each one has its own special kind of power. All right, enough theory. Let's get practical and see how this actually works. Here are a few simple but seriously effective games you could start using right away. First on our list is something called guided drawing, and trust me, this one is fantastic for sharpening listening skills and really getting good at following instructions. Let's try a super quick version. You can just picture it in your head. Ready? Okay, first draw a half circle. Now double that curved line at the bottom to make the rind. Then inside, just add a few little water droplet shapes for the seeds. And what do you have? A watermelon. It seems simple, but this little activity teaches kids how to turn spoken words into visual action, and it helps them get better at describing things too. Okay, next up is a game that can turn any boring study session into, well, a super exciting match. Maths cricket. Or, science cricket, history cricket. You got the idea. The rules are so simple, just like in cricket, but with a twist. One team bowls, but instead of throwing a ball, they're asking a question from the textbook. The other team bats by giving the right answer, and that's how they score runs. But if you get the answer wrong, wicket, you're out. This structure turns studying into this active, competitive game that really motivates everyone to learn the material. And for our last one, let's talk about Word Hunt. This is an absolutely brilliant hands-on game for making abstract ideas, like grammar rules or types of animals, feel really concrete. Here's how it works. You just create a bunch of cards with words on them. Could be nouns, verbs, whatever you're studying. Then you set up some labeled boxes for each category. Kids pick a card, read it, and then they have to race to put it in the correct box. It turns what's usually just a mental exercise into a physical, fun, and really memorable activity. So we've talked about the why, and we've walked through the how. But now comes the most important part, right? It's where you come in. Look, if you take away just one single thing from all this, please let it be this. Play isn't just a break from learning. It is a powerful, essential, and incredibly effective way to learn. It's really how our brains are wired to explore, to understand, and to grow. So, I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. Whether you're a teacher, a parent, or just somebody who's curious about this stuff, how can you start to bring a little more play into learning? Maybe even starting today. The possibilities really are as endless as your own imagination.